The Star Citizen Roadmap. To the players of Star Citizen, this is an intravenous lifeline of information that feeds our hunger to know what is happening and figure out where we're going next. And in small print on this roadmap is this countdown of activity we see as tasks. But what are tasks? How big is a task? Does having 100 tasks left on a feature mean it's going to take 100 times longer than a feature that has one task left? Let's try to answer some of those questions. Let's start by making sure everyone knows what I'm talking about when I talk about a task that appears on the roadmap. It's right here on the RSI website, under Development. When you look at any of the quarterly releases and expand any of the categories, you'll see the tasks listed under each feature for that release. It will show the total number of tasks needed for that feature and how many tasks they've completed towards that total number. Now, this term task is somewhat self-explanatory, but it is the specific name of a thing.
Why is any object we don't understand always called a thing?
That's known in the software development industry, most specifically within the Agile development approach. You can find out a little bit more about Agile and how it's used with Star Citizen in one of my prior videos. So what is a task? To explain it, it's best to compare it to a feature that it's associated with. A feature, also referenced on the roadmap as an entry, represents a more complete piece of functionality in the game, something rather usable by itself. It could be rather small, like just having a prison uniform, or it could be something rather large, like the interior of New Babbage. But my rather loose definition of it being something rather complete and usable all by itself makes sense with these examples. It wouldn't make sense to have just half a prison uniform.
It's not logical.
And it would be rather peculiar if we went into New Babbage and there was some temporary wall that kept us from getting to the administrative office in the Habs, for example. You really need to have all the core elements of a place like New Babbage where you can buy weapons, buy armor, pick up and deliver boxes, sell mined ore, spawn in the Hab, and do all these other things. New Babbage wouldn't really be ready to put into the game without all those things. That is a feature or entry that we see on the roadmap. The features are also more related to the actual game content or gameplay. They are the things that we interact with or use.
You know how to use one of those?
Or experience in some way. Things that relate more to the user experience. I've heard them mention it in other videos by CIG, but they are commonly referred to in the industry as user stories. For that reason, features or user stories are more related to that user experience. Tasks are a bit different. Tasks are more technical in nature. They represent things that the development team needs to do in order to create and deliver the feature. By themselves, tasks provide no direct value to the player and could never really be provided individually. To really understand what a task is, I'll try to give some made-up tasks about a feature in 4.0 with the Electron Sniper Rifle. We can see there's actually quite a number of tasks here. Some of them might be to create an artist concept drawing, review the concept with Chris, create an initial 3D model from the drawing, review the model for size requirements. For instance, in addition to the overall size of the weapon, the barrel has to be a precise size to fit the various attachments, that sort of thing. And there are probably other tasks to apply weapon animations, paint the weapon, create audio for firing, create audio for reloading, and add some visual shot flash effects. Then, they probably need to put it in the database that displays available weapons for the stores, create descriptions and specifications that we see in the store trade consoles, create any special 3D rotating artwork that we see in the trade console, and then probably have tasks to do many of these things all over again for the magazines that go inside the gun. You can see pretty quickly how they can get up to 27 tasks just for a single gun. It's all the things that the development team needs to do to complete the item on the roadmap. Similar to the features, the tasks can also vary in size and complexity. But there's a general feeling in the industry that a task should be something that takes only about a day, maybe more, maybe a little less. But it's not set in stone. It's the idea that it's not weeks. It's just a bite-sized effort. It's also typically something that can be accomplished by a single individual, and in that time frame. Although it's perfectly common to have a small team of people to complete a task. You can probably imagine that with something like the audio, where if they're trying to capture some real-world gunshot sound as the basis.
What we do is taking real recordings and manipulating them and combining stuff together and finding sounds that are cool in real life and using them as part of the sound that we make for a weapon. That said, recordings of real weapon fire do often make up quite a lot of our starting points, and especially for like ballistic weapons.
It might take 2 or 3 technicians working together to fire the gun, capture the sound, and so on. All this now helps us understand how it's even possible to get a feature like the New Babbage interior in a couple of weeks, when it still has almost 100 tasks left. I'm actually recording and capturing this roadmap information on March 16th. There's potentially quite a few people with different types of expertise working on a number of different tasks to complete New Babbage. You could have several modelers and several artists and several lighting specialists all working on different parts of the interior, potentially. So the tasks aren't necessarily linear for development. Some are, but many can probably be done at the same time if the overall vision and direction of the feature has been established. There's another aspect of tasks that gives us some insight as to why things may get pushed out on the roadmap, particularly late. They may not be able to always figure out every problem or know every task until they actually start working on the task.
We'll figure it out. We'll use some force.
Which is potentially another reason why we sometimes see things get pushed out rather late on the roadmap or off into the future. They need all of the tasks to be done and in place, or else the completeness that I talked about for the whole feature isn't there, and they can't release it. We could also use tasks as an indicator of how complex a given feature is to develop.
I am aware of that, Doctor.
The more tasks there are, the more complicated it is. But we might not want to always jump to that conclusion, because some features might be able to reuse assets or functionality already created elsewhere for other things. I might be just making this up, but for instance, there could be some functionality behind the mission givers that they can reuse for any other mission giver. I hope this gave you a little more insight into CIG's tasks, how that translates into the roadmap, and what we can expect for quarterly updates. This month, I'm giving away an Aurora MR with game package, courtesy of the Reed organization. Reed is involved with engineering that includes mining and salvage mechanics, science, exploration, and transport logistics for cargo hauling. They also have a defense division, which keeps all your mining and cargo running activities safe. Reed has a focus on collaboration and a sense of respect, both within the organization and beyond to the rest of the community. Feel free to like and subscribe, use my referral code and all that jazz, and I'll be talking to you later.